Good morning, viewers. Welcome to Global Entertainment News Breakfast Show, your daily dose of news and updates. I am your host, Bisola, and joining me in the studio today is.
Stephen.
So, we are taking our today's top story from Punch and Vanguard newspaper. Today's top story from Punch. Customs intercepts 18 million naira illicit drugs in Cross River. The Nigerian Customs Service has intercepted a large consignment of illicit drugs worth 80 million naira from suspected smugglers at the MFUM border in Cross River State. The seizure was carried out by the Cross River Calabar Free Trade Zone and Akwa Ibom Area Command of the NCS and involved 659 units of controlled pharmaceutical substances. The items have been handed over to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency for further investigation and prosecution. The intercepted substances include 216 units each of pethidine, 100 mg and morphine sulfate, 108 units of phentermine, 50 mg, 37 packets of phenobarbital, 37 units of sodium stearate, 33 units of midazolam and 26 units of sodium injectables.
Well, it's not a new news to the country having
Smugglers.
intercepting this kind of drugs, and it's the drugs that most youths in the society now use to give their several kind of high level of spirit. They call it highness, but I think it's actually a good step by the custom to be able to intercept this 18 million naira worth of illicit drugs into the society. I think intercepting this alone has act as also a reduction in the kind of intake of all these drugs. And to me, I give all the kudos to the custom.
Yeah, they really tried in finding out these people. All right, let's move on. FD tackling root causes of farmer herders clashes, says Minister. The Minister of Livestock Development, Idi Mukhtar Mahia, has said that the federal government is laying the groundwork for the long-term reforms to address the root cause of the persistent farmer-herder conflict across Nigeria. Speaking on Wednesday at a workshop in Abuja, Mahia, represented by his Special Assistant Saleh Momale, stated that although the ministry is newly established, it is already developing a strategic framework for intervention aimed at fostering peace and social cohesion. The workshop, organised by the Frugal Development and Cultural Organisation in collaboration with the Centre for Population and Environmental Development, focused on the dissemination of research findings on gender, conflict and pastoralism.
This one is it's actually an old news already because me, I would say it's an old news because the government have been saying what the herdsmen have been
Yeah.
really doing and the killings and everything. Now that they've come outside to say they want to tackle the roots. It's something they would have done from the first story about this herdsmen. If you don't tackle things earlier enough, if you leave
It
it to a
becomes
particular
harder.
place, it gets worse and
Yeah.
very hard for you to tackle. It's just like you seeing a small pothole somewhere and you don't go there to fix it immediately. If you leave that pothole for another 4 days, it increases and it costs a lot to maintain. So these are things that the government should have done a long time ago rather than looking for a way to tackle it now. It's alarming.
What I would say to this that we don't need words, we need actions. You like you coming out to talk we are about to do this, we are doing this. That's not what we need right now. So it will not be as if they've not said anything or probably they are not trying their best or probably they are not taking any actions. But what we need now is work, is actions rather, not your words. Do something. Let's see the let's see the proof that okay, you are taking actions. It's not that we don't just want words alone, we need actions. Okay, let's move on. Ogun women protest herders attacks, demand urgent government action. Hundreds of women in Ogun State on Wednesday staged a peaceful protest in Abeokuta to demand urgent government intervention in the worsening state of insecurity, which they say is a major cause of the growing food crisis and poverty across Nigeria. The women, led by Adesola Ogboduku, marched through major streets in the state capital before converging at the Nigerian Union of Journalists Secretariat, Oke-Ilewo, where they voiced their grievances and called on Governor Dapo Abiodun and President Bola Tinubu to take decisive action, carrying placards with inscriptions such as "Stop destroying our farms", "Stop killing our farmers", "Keep Fulani cows off our land", and "Stop raping our children". The women decried the continuous attack on farmers by the suspected criminal herders, which they said had rendered many farmland inaccessible. Exactly what we are still saying.
Well, see this issue of hair herders going into
Farms.
people's farm, their cows eating people's crop up, and at the end of the day, it leads to a wrong dialogue between the farmers and everything, and it leads to fight and everything. The worst part is that these people, when after knowing that this thing you are doing is wrong, going to someone's farm, bringing your cattle there to eat up crops and everything, and the owner of the farm comes out to tell you that this thing is wrong in a state that is not yours.
You take laws into
Since that
your
is not
you
yours,
take actions
you
into
go
your
into
head.
attack and start killing people, destroying villages and
Mm-hmm.
everything. It's very, very wrong. I
It's
think
very, very
uh,
wrong.
the way I see this, I think there is a strong sponsor and support giving these people that kind of confidence that they can do this, they can do that. Because for someone to just go into a large community where you have at least
A lot of people in
1,000
there.
people and you go there and say you want to go and destroy things, I think there's someone backing them a lot.
To me, like you said, them doing this continuously and there is no action being taken, then they are not afraid, because they know that once they do this, nothing will be done. Once they do this, nothing will be done. They keep on doing it because our governments are not talking. So the women coming out to protest is the right thing. The government should please heed to what they've said and take actions on it. We don't just want words, we need actions, like I said. God is helping us, sha. Alright, let's move on. Nigeria loses 14,815 nurses, midwives to UK. No fewer than 14,815 Nigerian trained nurses and midwives have been licensed to practice in the United Kingdom from 2017 to September 2014. This is according to the latest report on the numbers of Nigerian nursing and midwifery professionals on the UK Nursing and Midwifery Council, obtained exclusively by our correspondent. As of March 31st, 2024, there were 13,656 Nigerian nurses and midwiferys in the UK, but from April 1 to September 30, 2024, the number increased to 14,815. Dis means that 1,159 nurses and midwives educated in Nigeria moved to UK in 6 months to seek greener pastures.
I think if let's just put ourselves in the shoes of the nurses and the midwife. When you see everybody move into a profession to make profits. I tell
Yeah,
you, to make ends meet and to make
to
to
survive.
survive and all. You can't see a society whereby you going through that kind of stage after 4 years, 5 years to master a profession, and you come out with that profession and you see that what the society is giving you is very, very poor, and you see another medium of moving into a better society it's going to give you more experience in what you do and give you more and earn you more money, and you see you're not going to go for it. If the Nigerian health sector have been given that respect, and just imagine before you know you just hear doctors going on strike. I've seen a
Mhm.
situation where doctors go on strike, where nurses go on strike. Is it that kind of society you want these people to come in and say they want to waste their profession and waste their career in? They see that UK really needs that services.
Apart from that, like they respect them a lot.
When you go to UK, UK, I have a family member that stays in UK. She's a nurse there, and she there's a time she came back and said they pay them. They, as a nurse there, they are being paid at least 3,500 EU pounds. Sorry, three
Per
thousand
hour.
per month. Just imagine that kind of amount you are being paid, that kind of amount per month. You can't compare it to Nigerian amount. 3,500 pounds times 1 4 is almost it's more than millions of naira. How many nurses in Nigeria are collecting million per month?
Not to talk of
So
hundred. Some
just
nurses sef their money is not up to
imagine
hundred
that kind of
thousand.
scenario, and you expect people to come here and waste their career and everything. The best thing for them to do is to move out there, and
Look for greener pastures.
because you know once they are there, it boosts their experience and it boosts a lot of things to them, and they believe that's the best thing for me. If I'm a nurse and I have that kind of experience, I see any means to move into the UK, I'm not going to overthink it twice. I'm not going to think twice. So I don't blame them for moving out of the country to furthermore.
Okay, to our next news. Sexual harassment. Four-year council clears VC fault SSANU. The Governing Council of the Federal University Oye-Ekiti, Ekiti State has absolved the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Abayomi Fashina, of sexual harassment. The complaint was brought against the Vice-Chancellor by a female staffer and the institution former acting director of works, Mrs. Folashade Adebayo. The registrar and the secretary to the council, Muftar Ibrahim, said the council, among others resolution at its eighth extraordinary meeting held on Tuesday, demanded letters of apology from Adebayo and two officials of the Senior Staff Associate of Nigerian University Four-Years branch. The institution has recently been enmeshed in crisis following a standoff between the Vice-Chancellor and some SSANU officials over allegations of sexual misconduct made against Professor Fashina by Adebayo.
Well, we've seen so many issues like this about sexual harassment and everything. But in this case, I think you know when you have someone in a very big position in a particular society, a particular organization, and others are below that person, and there's a force on the leaders. You will see some people that will come and say, okay, oh, where are you? Why are you being harsh on our leader, this and that, just to gain favor? I will not say this is the case in this scenario, but I believe more investigation needs to
Be
be
done.
done because someone cannot just come out and say, okay, oh,
Accuse you of
I
sexual harassment.
because there should be a proper investigation about it and put evidence to all these allegations and everything.
Yeah. Except if they don't want to be fair enough. Okay, let's move on to today's story from Vanguard. Crude oil price crashes put 2025 FG revenue target in jeopardy. The price of Bonny Light, Nigeria's premium oil grade, yesterday dropped by 5.0% to $59.62 per barrel in the global market at the backdrop of the ongoing ripple created by the tariff war that has followed the series of tariff hikes announced by the United States of America earlier this week. The oil price was also hit by the decision of the Organisation of Petroleum Exporting Countries (OPEC) and its allies to increase oil production by 411,000 barrels per day in May 2025. Experts said the development will negatively impact the nation's 54.99 trillion naira 2025 budget, which is based on oil price of $75 per barrel and 2.06 million barrels per day.
Well, I don't have much to say about this because anything that concerns oil price crashes,
Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of it because I've noticed in this country, oil business is the major business in this country, and it's being manipulated a long time ago, and there are so many investments in the oil sector. the rich, the dons, the do's and don'ts, the biggest people in the nation have invested a lot in oil, and they feel it's not a place whereby someone can just go in and mess with. So I don't really have this. I don't really know more about that information, but I believe the OPEC has more to say about that. Give
Yeah.
us more.
Okay, let's move on. China slams 84% extra tariff on US as Trump responds with additional 21%. A Trump tariff on the 60 countries he called the worst offenders came into effect. There has been a flurry of reaction, including retaliatory measures, with China responding with additional 84% tariff rate on US goods. The Chinese tariff is an increase from the 34% it already imposed on American imports, thus bringing its total import tax on the US to 118%. China has already also filed a complaint to the World Trade Organization (WTO) saying the US was violating international trade law. In response, President Trump raised the tariff against the US to 125% and also issued a 90-day pause to some tariff. Announcing the raise, he said, "Based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world market, I am hereby raising the tariff charged to China by the United States of America to 125% effective immediately. At some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that the days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable."
Well, see the issue of China.
Sincerely.
China has been a very very good impact when it comes to marketing and trade
Yeah,
affairs, because China is known to be number one when it comes to trading and everything, because
important.
so many things comes out from China and goes to so many other countries. And China has felt okay, because we have this advantage of production and everything. We can levy any kind of charge to so many things. There are some things in China that they buy for less, but when it comes out of their country, it
Country
feels as if it's
higher
something
price.
big. The way they charge it, and you feel this thing is more than this. When looking at it, you will if China wants to impose, if China wants to export a particular thing to a country, they will look at the kind of situation that country is facing. If it's a country that is not used to technology, they'll be like, okay, this thing, let's go there and make this money fast. Let's make this money in the next 15, 20 years. Let's make it once and for all. But they see a country that is more experienced, they go there and look at the tariff they give to the US. It's different from the tariff they're giving to Africans.
Yeah,
Africans, they are on the high side. So I think, to me, Trump is a businessman. It's very, very wise
and
decision,
intelligence.
and
Yeah.
he has seen that China has been whipping so many countries, and this is the best way for them to for the US to retaliate to this is to increase their own export also, to be able to get what they've been eating a
From
long
them.
time ago.
Yeah, that's a good thought. All right, let's move on. Herdsmen kill two in Fresh Benue attack. Two farmers has been killed by suspected herdsmen in two separate attacks in communities of Gwa West local government area of Benue State. Recall that a similar incident had few weeks ago triggered a violent protest by the youth in Naka, the local government headquarters, which left properties including the council secretariat, monarch palace and houses of prominent indigenes in the community razed by the irate youth. It was gathered from a source in Naka who spoke on conditions of anonymity that the two victims were murdered by the murderer along the key access route leading to the council headquarters. It disclosed that one of the victims was murdered on Wednesday at Atuku village, a kilometre from Naka town, along Taraku Naka road, and on the same day another victim was killed along the Naka Adoka road. Should I say is it a planned work?
Well, this issue about herdsmen
Herdsmen killing
is
people.
really what pains me a lot is that the government are really saying all this, because they read the news every day. they see what's really going on. But
Precautions are not being taken.
the kind of action they are being swept into doing things is very, very slow, and it's not encouraging at all. The northern part of the nation needs a lot of security. Because just imagine all this element issue. The day this element issue is going to enter places like Lagos State. Let me use Lagos State for an example. We've not heard any issue about
They cannot even
element
stay long there.
because Lagos is a place whereby you can't even see enough farm for you to say you want to go there and be carrying cattle up and down. The day this kind of issues happen in Lagos, I tell you, it's going to trigger a kind of reward because you can't really hide in Lagos State. If you commit a crime, for you to even hide sef, it will take you time except to leave the outskirts of Lagos before you think of hiding. Because where you have a lot of farmlands and rural area where you will walk almost 30 minutes before you even
Got
see a
there.
building. So those kind of places are places where the government really needs to focus on, even if it's just look for a way to make most of all these barracks, troop in soldiers there, troop in police, make it a barracks. There are acres of land there you can consume and make them barracks. Turn those places. I think it's going to reduce more of these attacks and everything. Honestly, because the rate at which the northern we hear issues of herdsmen, killing and everything. It's time I heard about 17 communities in Benue has been taken over by um, by insurgents and insecurity and everything. Just imagine 17 communities being controlled by criminals. So what else is remaining in the nation? When it comes to another election, you start hearing these people have more votes. When we've seen so many killings there.
The government just needs to learn, take a look on this. They should work on this. They should really work on it because people keep dying every day, and it's not as if they are seeing it. They are just taking their eyes away from it, using one or two things as a distraction for people not to say anything on it, for people not to talk about it. Government need to just like they should just take a step on this. All right, viewers, thank you for joining us on the breakfast show today. I've been your host, Busola. Be sure to join us again tomorrow, same time, same station. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more news and updates on Global Entertainment News TV. I've been your host, Bisola, and have a blessed day. Bye.